Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Loadout, presented by The Daily Dot. Capital T, capital D, capital D, as you can see. Remember all of that. I am Jared Wynn, bringing you a night of esports discussion and interviews with the one and only Paul Soaz of Origin, who just qualified for the Riot World Championships, the biggest event of the year in League of Legends, the biggest game in esports. Paul, how does it feel to be qualified and going to Worlds now?
Um, it feels good. It was tough to qualify since we didn't play last split and we didn't have any points to qualify. But now that we finally made it into the qualifier, it feels good. Obviously.
Is it more of a relief that you got in, or is it more excitement?
um, I knew that we could make it. I knew that it would be hard, but kind of excited to play Worlds. Not really like relieved because we are still gonna have pressure matches and stuff like this. So kind of excited.
Yeah, did you think that you were going to make Worlds all the time? Because like you said, you didn't play in the spring split, you had a big disadvantage. Did you still think that Worlds was the goal?
No, the Worlds wasn't the goal for us. The goal was to do a good season overall,
Right.
a good LCS season, maybe qualify for playoffs, play playoff, and see what do we do from there. But Worlds wasn't really an objective from us. It was just like have a good season, and that's it pretty much.
Well, you had a good season, obviously, and you got in Worlds regardless of it being an objective. We were talking before we went live. You guys are on break right now. What are your thoughts about your practice schedule? Are you going to boot camp before World starts?
We have heard some problems that is happening in Korea with Korean teams, but we are for sure gonna boot camp. We just don't know where yet,
Okay.
either in China, either in Korea, but we have to decide and prepare for it, like find a place, something like this.
You have a preference between China and Korea where like the boot camp personally? What's better for you?
I don't know if there's something better. Most of the other teams, like I know Fnatic and TSM, C9, etc.,
Right.
they're all going to Korea. So if we can practice every single team there, Korea is probably better. But I think both are pretty much the same. Beside that,
Right. Let's talk about actually how you qualified for Worlds. You went through the tournament. You had 2 matches to play, of course, starting with Cat. Beat them 3-2. Very close series. I think people probably favored you to come out ahead a little bit closer, a little bit bigger than you did. Did you feel the pressure there? Like, how tight was that?
we didn't play so well against Cat, honestly. I felt like we tended to play a lot more. We had like the mindset we had against Fnatic, which was not good because we are not really adapting to the Rocket playstyle, and especially in terms of picks and bans, the two, three first games against Rocket, we didn't have such like good picks and bans, good draft overall. So it was a really tough series to play, honestly.
Did you adjust your drafting and banning style in the middle of the series? Did you kind of go back into the back and say, hey, we need to change how we're doing things here?
Yeah, it was when we were like 1-2, we were down 1-2, and we were like, we just need to play really different, like just pick different and play different because we were trying to force way too much early. We were having a lot of draft problems, so yeah, we just noticed a bit too late how to play against them.
What was it about their style that you were not adjusting to? Like, what did you have to make the adjustments to in the last couple of games?
The main difference is that, as I said, we were thinking too much like how to play because we do our last like best of 5 was against Fnatic, so we were like drafting or we will draft against Fnatic, but we shouldn't have done that. For example, because Rocket is playing a lot of tanky top laners. Mid lane tend to play a lot more split push champions.
Right.
Like Ari, he was playing a lot with Ari, Yasuo, etc. And Fnatic is like not playing any tanks. They just play carry top laners, and mid lane play just team fight champions. So we just had to adapt really.
So you feel like you kind of overlooked Rokat, and we're looking to the Fnatic matchup before you got there, and so Rokat kind of snuck up on you? Is that how you feel?
Not really. We just like I just feel like we didn't really prepare enough against Rockets.
Okay. Okay. Well, you did play Fnatic after that, or not, you played Fnatic in the playoffs. You played in the qualifier. You played Unicorns of Love. That was not quite so close. You got through pretty easily there. Were you surprised by how easily you got through against Unicorns? Did you expect to go through like that?
Well, I expected to win more convincingly than against Rocket for sure. It was Vander made a tweet like the final was actually us versus Rocket and not us versus Unicorns of Love because, well, I think everyone knew that Rocket would be how do I say that, toughest
Right.
opponent compared to UL. So yeah, it was easier than playing Rocket.
So you're pretty confident going into the Unicorns match. Did you feel like you already made it to Worlds? Like, were you already thinking, okay, here we go, we're going to make it?
No, you can never think like this. You just have to play
Right.
game per game and see where it goes from there.
Now, going back to the playoffs, where you did play Fnatic, as I jumped ahead to before, that was, of course, a huge series. You guys were the first team to beat Fnatic this split. They had not lost a single game until you almost took them in the series. I guess the first thing I want to ask you about that is, what made Fnatic so good this split? Why could no one beat them in a game?
Um, they are just really good in best of one. They play the same style overall, all the games, like team fight, like with good team fight comp, with a lot of mobility, try to catch opponent because the strongest part of Fnatic is that they have really good vision coverage overall on the map and really good bound control. So they are really often baiting teams into checking Baron and then rushing on them and getting picks and then doing Baron, and the game was won from there.
Right.
So they all have really good team play, and I think it's well, at least for me, it's a lot better to play a best of five because you learn a lot from game one, and then you see how do you want to play from there, and the LCS regular season is always best of one, so it's not like you play the first match against them and then you think that you'll play better against them the next match because it might be like 2 or 3 weeks after it or even more,
Right.
you know. So playing a best of five, it's a lot easier to take maps than playing best of ones because it's always random.
Yeah, you managed to you played them twice in the regular split. You lost both times, and of course in the playoffs you won 2 games. What did you do differently? I guess was it just the fact that you could learn more from their game during the best of 5 series that got you to those wins? Was it a change in your style, how you approach Fnatic? Because you did something obviously that no one else did the whole split. So like, what changed?
The meta shifted a bit, honestly.
Okay.
They tend to be a lot more carry top laners that obviously that I liked, such as Gangplank and a few others. But the meta shifted a bit. It went like people were tending to play a lot more late game, and yeah, we were we didn't really know how we will do in best of fives against them, but I felt confident about my own skill and how we practice before playing Fnatic because we practice a lot of Fnatic before playoffs, like 1 week prior to playing them. We practice like 2 or 3 days against them, and the scrims went like 50-50, so we knew that we had a chance against them.
Do you think now that you could beat them in the best of 5 series, like if you met them, for example, at Worlds, could you beat Fnatic? Can Origin beat Fnatic? Tell us right here, right now. Will you beat Fnatic next time you meet them in a series?
The for Worlds, the meta is gonna change a lot again
Yeah.
because it's gonna be a new patch again. So it's like every single patch, team don't necessarily start from zero, but it's like it's not like I can say like relearning the game, but you have to evolve kind of. You have to learn more stuff, and sometimes the meta is gonna change a bit as well. So I don't know. It's about which team adapt the best to the meta, to the new meta. But I think we, in terms of skill, like without counting the meta and stuff like this, we can go head to head against Fnatic. Yeah.
Was it kind of weird playing against Fnatic for the title?
Um, Everyone is like, well, before the game, they're like, "Oh my god, you're playing as your former teammates and stuff like this." I honestly don't care at all. Like, he's playing like any other team. Fans tended to hype it a lot, but for myself, I don't really care. It's like playing any other teams, and I don't have more regrets losing to them, or I will not be more happy if I will win another team than Fnatic if it was final or Fnatic. I will be the same really.
How did you feel about the H2K series? You beat them pretty convincingly. Were you happy with that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we played really good against H2K. Um, I also I feel like we had a good series against H2K. We prepped a lot, and it's like it could have gone the same way as Rockets, honestly, but we are more ready to play against H2K.
Let's talk about Origin right now, the team, as it goes into Worlds. Like, what do you think are the weaknesses that your team needs to fix? Like, what do you need to work on when you boot camp, for example? What needs to be worked on the most for Origin to do well at Worlds?
I think it's overall about communication, how we communicate things, what do we play for, and that's it pretty much. Sometimes we tend to lose our objectives. Like, let's say we have a good late game team comp, so we're gonna try to avoid as much fighting, and sometimes it's like someone is gonna get caught or something, and there's gonna be a small fight happening, and then it's like a 2-4-0, and from there it's really hard to come back because they have a really good mid game, and we have just a mid/late game. So sometimes we tend to lose our objectives in the game, so we just have to communicate a lot more and be more patient, I think.
Are you going to work more on just like the basic team, like objectives and stuff like that, or are you going to have some tactical surprises, let's say, for Worlds you're going to break out no one's going to expect?
No one can really know that yet because, as I said, you need to see with the patch, and I need to practice a lot before, so you need to see what you want to do for Worlds.
How do you feel about the patch coming in late before Worlds? Like, if there's a patch just shortly before Worlds and they don't really have a big competition prior to Worlds in the patch, like between the patch and Worlds, is that good for Worlds, having kind of an unknown factor going in? Do you prefer to have some real official matches played so we can actually see what the new meta is like?
Nah, I honestly think it would be much better if there was like for a month you'll play on the same patch, and then you'll practice for a month on the same patch, and then play Worlds with the same patch. Because if you like right now, it's gonna be you play on a new patch for like 2 weeks, and then you play Worlds. Is not enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like it could actually affect the results, where you have some teams who are able to figure out parts of the new meta before others are, and they basically use that figuring out of the meta to win games at Worlds, which is, you'd prefer to have the best teams win.
I think it's gonna happen this year. There will probably gonna be some upsets from maybe lower teams to beat better teams, in my opinion.
Well, how do you do that then for your team? Like, how do you go about trying to figure out what the new meta is? Do you just have a lot of conversations within the team? Do you look at scrims and play different strategies? Like, what works for you in terms of figuring out what's going to happen in the new meta at a new event like this?
First of all, you need to read a bit the patch note and see what Riot changed in the game, and then you just like sometimes in solo queue you're gonna see some things and you might wanna try it, and then you tell your teammates. They will probably tell you what they think about it, and from there you'll probably play it a bit in solo queue, and then you'll try it in scrims. So it just goes from there, and if it's tactical, then you just talk about it before the scrims, and we just try it in game.
So it's just a process you have to go through to figure out what works and what doesn't, I guess. A long process.
It's not really long. It's just it takes like to try something. It takes like just one scrim. Sometimes if it's it depends. It depends what it is. Some things takes a lot more time than, for example, trying a champion don't take so much. Honestly, it takes like maybe 2 games or something. But trying some tactical things like how to bait Baron properly, or um, other things like trading objectives good enough, stuff like this. It takes like so many games compared to just being able to play on a good level, good champion.
Are you excited for the new patch? Do you want to see new champions come to the top lane in particular? Or are you pretty happy with the state of the top lane as it currently is?
I'm really not looking into the new patch, honestly.
Yeah.
There's from solo queue I've seen, I don't know, some Darius top lane or stuff like this, and I don't think it's gonna be played, but I don't know. I don't think top lane is gonna change so much actually. It's most likely gonna be bot lane with the Mordekaiser.
You think Markiplier is
Yeah.
going to stay strong? I've heard a lot of people think he's going to get nerfed before Worlds.
Well, I don't think he got nerfed, like for example this patch, but if he gets nerfed next one, maybe. But I'm not sure. If he don't get nerfed, I think he's gonna be like the old Alistar from last Worlds, the hero that you can never play because he's always banned and he always take a ban from a team.
Right.
So it's gonna be a bit annoying to draft if like there is some really OP heroes.
Well, talking about going to Worlds, as we are, what are your expectations? You have a okay seed going into the event. You know, not a top seed, obviously.
Wow,
Yeah.
we have the third seed.
Yeah, you're not a bottom seed. You're not the worst. It could be worse. You're going to have a tough group most likely. Are your goals to just play well? Are your goals to get out of groups to go to the final? Like, what's realistic for you?
My own goal, I will be honestly, I will be happy going out of groups because, I mean, we are third seed right now, and there's like there is 60% chance that we are gonna end up in a really hard group, and 30% chance that we are gonna end up in a slightly easier group. So regardless, we are gonna have good opponents in our bracket. So I will be happy going out of the bracket, out of the groups. I mean,
Yeah, getting to the bracket. Once you get in the bracket, it seems like you have a decent shot if you can find a good pick. If you get a couple wins, who knows what happens?
yeah, we'll see.
You might meet Fnatic again, and get the chance to
Maybe.
beat them. Yeah, you might. They could be there. I wouldn't be surprised. By the way, speaking of Fnatic, they have a lot of hype going around them right now for obvious reasons. They had a perfect split prior to meeting you in the playoffs and the finals, and they still managed to win that as well. How do you think Fnatic's going to do at Worlds? I hear people saying they could win the whole thing. Do you think it's a possibility that Fnatic wins the World Championship?
I don't think so.
Why not?
I mean, if we can go 2-3 against them, I think really top team is gonna beat them. But as I said, it's gonna be on a new patch, so you never know. Yeah, as I said, there's probably gonna be some upsets and things like this, but I'm pretty sure they can go out of groups. They can maybe make semis. Like they have maybe a good chance. It depends of who they face, obviously, and they can also maybe go to final. But I really doubt that they will win the tournament. Like I think they can maybe go far, but I don't think they will win it.
Well, maybe you went 2-3 against them because Origin's the top team now. Maybe that's the case. Maybe Fnatic is the best team and Origin's just that good.
I don't think so.
It's possible, though. It is possible. I'm going to throw it out there. Talking about how Fnatic's going to do at Worlds and how you're going to do at Worlds leads into kind of talking about the regions. Do you think there's been this feeling that with TSM winning the IEM World Final and with Edward Gaming winning MSI, that Korea has now been caught up to by other regions, by China, perhaps even by the West? Do you think there's a real possibility that a team from outside Korea is going to win the World Championship this year?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, in my opinion, the best teams are like the top Korean teams and the top Chinese teams. So it's a real possibility that a Chinese team may take it this year.
Do you feel confident against the best Eastern teams?
Um, we'll find out. If I have to say right now, I will say maybe not, but we'll find out. Like, I think it's gonna be the same as against us against Fnatic. If we have a good day, in my opinion, it's gonna be like a 60-40 for them, or maybe even more. But we'll see.
So if you're against SK Telecom T1 in the group stage, if you're against LGD Gaming, for example, which you could be, if you're against Edward Gaming,
I think it's gonna be maybe right now it will be like a 80-20 for them probably, but who will see?
well, you still give yourself a chance in that case. You give yourself a chance. You know, you could get you could get
It's
CLG instead.
a small chance.
That's not a bad chance. You know, 20%'s 1 out of 5, but I think you got a better chance than that. Honestly, I do, Paul. I think you're selling yourself short. You're being too kind, too modest. You guys are not too bad. Do you think
Well, we're not bad, but they're just really, really good.
they are? But you're pretty good. Hey, you got 2 games off Fnatic, and I heard Fnatic's really good. You know, Fnatic almost beat SKT. So if you almost beat Fnatic, that means you could also, right?
When they play SKT, it was some time ago, and yeah.
Okay, we'll see. So you think they've gotten worse since then, or you think SKT's gotten better?
I think both.
Okay. You think Fnatic's gotten worse and SK has gotten better since then?
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out, I guess, pretty soon. This roster you have right now with Origin, obviously you managed to qualify for Worlds. There's been some rumors, some talk about retirement on the team. Do you think this team's going to stick around for the next the spring split, the next season?
Yeah, I think we'll play one more season together at least. I don't think like our mindset about Worlds is really not to win it or anything like this. So as long as there is no like internal problems besides the game, like conflicts or something like this, I think we're gonna stick together.
Well, I hope so. You guys have come a long way really quickly. Speaking of that, was it weird for you after being a top level player for so long to go down to play in the Challenger Series? Was that strange? Was it an adjustment, or was it kind of the same as playing in the LCS?
It was really stressful, honestly, to play a Challenger Series because everyone expected us to beat everyone, to do super good, something like this. So it was really stressful at first. And then as soon as we qualified for Challenger Series, it was less stressful. And when we got into LCS, I wasn't feeling any stress anymore.
So the LCS is kind of stress free for you, whereas the Challenger Series was difficult because of the pressure to be the best. Is that what it was?
It's just because I mean, like in the team, we were like 4 kind of non-players. Like this was new, but there's so much pressure in the team, so it was not necessarily hard, but it was just more stressful than playing the regular LCS season. That's all.
All right. Getting back to talking about the current meta in the game, there's a lot of focus and talk about how tanky it is. You know, how tanks are such a big part of the meta. Like, do you think it's a good thing? Are you happy with the meta as it currently exists? Do you want to see Riot shift it in another direction?
You mean for top lane or the meta in general?
In general, but also for top lane in particular. We'll start with in general, like the general meta of the game right now.
The meta right now is a lot more about going into late game. You have I don't know how to say it in English right now, but the crit item for AD carry that makes AD carry really, really, really good mid to late game. So you tend to play a lot more late game team comp,
Right.
like mid to late game team comp. Like you cannot risk playing early to mid game team comp because if you don't get a Baron, for example, you lose automatically the game, and even if you get it, they might be able to stall it and then win later on because they had like maybe 2 Drakes, for example, or something like this. So right now it's gonna be, in my opinion, I don't know about the next patch, but right now the game is a lot about playing late game and having a good team comp. The games are like 70% about pick and bans and 30% about actually playing the game, in my opinion, right now.
Would you like to see more emphasis on the early game and aggressiveness then? Would you like to see more ability to, frankly, rush?
Yeah, it will. It's mainly why you can't like you can still do some cheese and stuff like this, but it's really risky to play, as I said, early game champions or mid game champions. Like I don't know, I will name like for example, Elise top lane or some like it's actually good, but it's really bad late game, so you can't necessarily play this champion or other things like this.
Right, right. You're talking about the top lane meta there, talking about playing Elise or someone like that. How do you feel about the top lane right now in general? Like, what's your opinion on it? Do you like it? Is it okay for you?
I think the top lane meta is good right now. I hope we won't see, as I said, much Darius or Garen or things like this. But the meta is pretty good. You can play tanks, you can play APs, you can play bruisers, you can play pretty much anything, and it all depends about picks and about the draft you do.
Right.
But you can play really different styles on top lane, so I'm happy with how top lane is right now.
Why do you not want to see Darius and Garen? What makes you afraid of them?
No, I'm not afraid of them. They're just really boring champion to play.
Okay.
So
Yeah. You don't want the boring champions coming in.
yeah,
Well, talking about your champions pool, this split, your most played champions were, I believe, Rumble and Fizz, and you were unbeaten on Rumble. How do you feel about your champions pool? You're known as a guy who has a lot of champions to pick from. Do you feel like you have a pretty broad pool right now going into Worlds? You can play a variety of different champions?
um, it depends. For me to play different champions, I have to play like once or twice the champion for like if I play the champion every like 4 or 5 days, just one game, I will be fine. But sometimes I tend to focus a lot more on 3 4 champions, let's say for a week, so I might drop some and then pick them up later, you know. So we can say that I have a good champion pool, but it depends of the week, honestly.
Okay, I want to ask you actually, what do you think about the new Gangplank? He's come in the top lane quite a bit as of late.
Mm, well, gameplay got nerfed right now,
He did. Yeah.
so I'm a little bit sad, honestly. But
So you
I
liked
think
him?
he's still good. I really like Gangplank, honestly. I think he's even with the nerf, he's still gonna be good. He's not gonna be as good as before, but it's not in the same time. It's not gonna change so much about the champion, I think.
Are there any champions in the top lane that stand out to you that you'd like to see buffed or nerfed in particular? Like who really needs to be changed in the top lane?
A change?
Yeah, we saw Maokai actually take a nerf for the first time in a while, I think.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Changing Maokai, nerfing Maokai is good.
Um, I don't know a champion that I would like to play or to come back. I'm not really sure because you can play so many champions already that
Right.
actually I would like to see comeback Lee Sin, like Lee Sin top.
Okay.
This champion is really fun to play. So
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty fun to play, especially if you always follow your queue, just every single time. Go after it. Never not follow the queue. Just a couple more questions for you, and then we'll get you out of here. Thanks a lot for the time. The first thing I want to ask you, Riot, the Sandbox mode. What do you think? Should they have a Sandbox in League of Legends? Why don't we have one? Do you think it's bad that we don't have one? Should we have it? Like, what's your opinion on the Sandbox?
I think it will be really good to have a sandbox mode. For example, I'll give a small example.
Sure.
Like before playing LCS matches, we always have like a 20 minutes to like 10 to 15 minutes, let's say, to warm up. And when LCS players warm up, they're just gonna go in custom games and kill bots or whatever. It's so useless. So it will be a lot better that if you have a sandbox mode to be able to practice flashes or I can't really come up with like example of champions right now, but I'm pretty sure that there is champions that you need to practice. If you have like infinite, like no cooldown or on flashes or TPs or other things like this.
Yeah, well, you're a professional player. It would make sense you'd be able to practice anything, that you want to play. It's like,
Well, we can, but it's just like, for example, in LCS we're gonna have to do the thing once, then we need to quit the game and
Right.
to do it again, So it will be much easier for everyone.
yeah, it'd be like telling football players you can't actually get on the pitch unless you have a scrimmage. Like you have to actually play a friendly to practice on the pitch. You can't just go out there and practice kick the ball around or take shots on goal or anything. Kind of silly, but hey, Riot has their things that they do, and we have to deal with that. You have some history of being a strong best of five, or not best of five, a 1v1 player actually. I have a question for you related to that. Would you beat Huni 1v1 right now?
1v1 is really different than playing in a normal game because you have to account many different things like wards, jungle, things like this. In 1v1, in skill cap, it depends on which kind of champions. I think on Bruisers is a lot better than me, but I think in tanks and APs, I'm better than him. So it depends about the champion. Like, if we have to play Riven, I'm obviously gonna lose. But if you have to play some other champions like APs or I said tanks, I think I will do a better job than him.
Yeah, well, you heard it here first. Soaz could beat Huni in 1v1, depending on the champions. Depending on the champions. We'll put that addendum out there. Well, I think you have a good chance against him. I think Origin has a decent chance to make some noise at Worlds, by the way. I know that you are being very modest, and I appreciate your modesty, by the way. I do, but come on, you got to give yourself some credit, right?
Nah, we'll see. It's too early to speak about it, honestly.
Okay, well, talking a little bit about Worlds before we let you go. What do you think about the wild cards? Like, should the wild cards get 2 spots at Worlds, or should those spots go to teams from regions that have more proven teams that actually go to the playoffs?
I think 2 is maybe a bit too much. Like, 1 wild card will be fine, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, from the past, we have seen that wildcard teams never really, like, it's bad to say it, obviously, but they never have been able to do much at Worlds.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know, maybe Riot just want to give them experience or whatever, but there will be more competition if there will be, I don't know, 4th Korean team or 4th Chinese team, obviously.
So you're hoping, perhaps, that you get a wildcard team in your group. That would be good.
Yeah, I actually really hope so.
Yeah.
But we can't actually because we are 3rd seed. So
Yeah, yeah, that's right, actually. You can't. It's the seating thing is kind of strange, the way it works. Is there one team at Worlds you really do want to play? Like, you want to see how you stack up against someone?
One team at Worlds that we really want to play.
Let's say in a series, not just the best of one, but in a series. Like, really getting to see how you match up against them in a best of 5 series.
I don't know. I can't say, like, really. I don't know. In the same time, I want to see against, like, SKT and stuff like this, but I don't want to feel so sad after the games.
Well, if you beat them, you'd be very happy, right?
In best of 5, it's going to be a bit unlucky, but I'm not sure. I would like to see what we can do against, like, really top teams, because it's going to be the teams that you learn the most from, obviously, but yeah, I would say, like, the top Chinese and Korean team.
Maybe the better question would have been earlier, if you beat in a 1v1 Marin. That's the good question. If you can take him.
I have no idea because I've never played against him. So I have better idea against Uni because I've seen him play a lot more and I know he plays and stuff like this, so I can have a better idea than mine that I've never played against him. So I have no idea.
Well, I hope you get to play SKT, and I think if you do, you got a shot. You got a shot. Better than 20%, actually. Maybe 21%, 22%. That's not too bad, right?
I prefer not to say anything about this.
I believe in you, Soaz, and that's enough. I want to thank Soaz of Origin for joining us. Any last words or shout-outs before we go off the air?
Well, thank you for inviting me, and thanks to all the fans for supporting us through LCS, the playoff, and hopefully Worlds.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a shot. I believe in Origin, and so should everyone watching the stream. You should all believe in Origin. If you liked my talking to Soaz, be sure to follow the channel, twitch.tv/daily. Subscribe to us on YouTube. If you missed part of the interview, all of our VODs go up there at daily.esports on YouTube. Twitter and Facebook, .esports, and of course, the best esports news and reporting is on daily.com. Thanks again to Soaz for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.